It happened in an instant, the sharp crack of his palm against my cheek, the sting spreading like fire across my skin, the shocked gasps from everyone around the table. I stood there in the dining room of the house I'd funded for 9 long years, my head snapping to the side from the force. But I didn't crumble. Instead, something inside me ignited, a cold clarity cutting through the humiliation.
Carl.
My stepfather had just crossed a line that could never be uncrossed. At 34, as the lead accountant for one of Dallas's biggest insurance firms, I'd spent my career spotting fraud from miles away. Yet I'd been blind to the one unfolding right under my roof until that slap forced my eyes open. To understand how we reached that moment, I need to take you back 9 years to when life still felt hopeful. I was 25, fresh into a solid corporate role auditing multimillion-dollar claims, living in a modest downtown Dallas apartment that was my sanctuary after long days crunching numbers. My father had passed away years earlier, leaving Mom to navigate widowhood alone. She met Carl at a community event, a charming man in his late 40s who knew how to make her feel seen again.
He pulled out chairs,
remembered small details, and soon Mom was glowing in a way I hadn't witnessed since Dad's illness. 6 months into their marriage, they wanted to buy a 4-bedroom home in a quiet Plano neighborhood, complete with a backyard and good schools. Carl's credit was wrecked from his bitter divorce, and Mom's part-time library job didn't qualify them for much. Rachel, honey, could you co-sign the mortgage? It would just be a formality to help us get approved, Mom asked one evening over takeout. I hesitated only briefly. Family meant supporting each other,
right?
I signed, becoming jointly responsible for the $2,800 monthly payments, property taxes every quarter, HOA fees, and all maintenance. At first, it felt manageable. Carl talked big about launching a consulting business, promising he'd take over soon. But soon turned into years of failed ventures, development phases, and excuses. The payments became mine alone. Mom's salary covered groceries at best. I handled everything else, transferring funds each month from my checking account, covering unexpected repairs like the roof leak or HVAC issues that popped up. My savings account, once steadily growing from my 6-figure salary, started shrinking alarmingly. Then Caitlin entered the picture more prominently. My half-sister, from Mom's marriage before Carl, was bright and ambitious. Carl insisted on private university for her, $45,000 annually at an elite school outside Dallas. Family takes care of family, he'd declare from the leather recliner I'd purchased for the living room, remote in hand while watching football on the massive TV I'd also funded. I paid her tuition directly, telling myself it was an investment in her future. The numbers added up brutally, over $360,000 in mortgage and related costs across 9 years. Plus tuition, medical bills when Mom's thyroid condition required surgery and specialists 3 years ago, and endless extras like new appliances or Caitlin's study abroad trips. My own life suffered quietly. Dating became impossible. How do you explain to a potential partner that most of your income supports your mother's household? Friends like my colleague Lisa noticed during lunch breaks. This isn't sustainable. Rachel, you're enabling them, she'd say, reviewing my spreadsheets with concern. But guilt kept me going. Mom had raised me after Dad died. I was the responsible one with the steady job. Carl's offhand comments to his buddies, Rachel has no kids or husband. She can afford it, stung deeply, reinforcing my isolation. My apartment, 45 minutes away, became my escape. After 12-hour days auditing fraudulent claims and saving the company millions, I'd pour a glass of Cabernet and avoid calculating my depleted retirement fund. I told myself I was preserving family unity. Carl played the patriarch at gatherings, lecturing on financial responsibility while I bit my tongue. Mom grew deferential to him, less communicative with me. Subtle signs of trouble emerged. Late-night cash withdrawals from our shared account access I maintained for bill paying. Trips aligning with border casino openings, but I dismissed them as paranoia. The text arrived on a Thursday. Family dinner Saturday, 7 p.m. sharp. Important matters. Bring documents. It was from Carl. Unusual since he rarely contacted me directly. Alarm bells rang. But I dressed professionally, blazer, subtle jewelry, and drove over with a knot in my stomach. The house smelled of pot roast, masking underlying tension. Mom greeted me nervously. Carl sat at the head of the table beside an unfamiliar man in an expensive suit with a briefcase, his attorney, Jim Garrett. "We need to discuss the house," Carl began, pouring whiskey from a decanter I'd gifted years ago. Caitlin's upcoming marriage to a young man from old money, family required restructuring ownership into a trust for her benefit, tax advantages, estate planning. The documents slid across the table demanded I sign away my name entirely, placing the property solely in Caitlin's with Carl as trustee. My accountant brain scanned the legalese instantly. This wasn't minor paperwork. It was a full transfer stripping my legal claim to the asset I'd single-handedly sustained. "You want me to gift away the house I've paid over $360,000 for?" I asked, voice steady but heart racing. The argument escalated. Carl called it family duty, not keeping score. I countered with facts, my co-signature, payments preventing foreclosure. Mom pleaded for Caitlin's security. The room thickened with resentment. I refused to sign immediately, needing review. Carl's cold smile hinted at consequences. As I left, his parting words echoed. The ungrateful one would sign eventually. That refusal set everything in motion. Little did I know, the slap was coming. And with it, the unraveling of 9 years of deception. 3 days of tense silence followed my refusal. My own attorney confirmed the documents were financial suicide, handing over my primary asset after nearly a decade of investment. I texted Carl a polite but firm response about needing alternatives. His reply summoned another family meeting that evening at 8 p.m. I arrived to a packed house. Caitlin with her fiancé, Bradley, a polished country club type, Aunt Diane from Houston, Carl's brother Mike with a beer. Carl wasted no time. "The family ATM finally shows up," he announced mockingly. Mom murmured disapproval, but didn't intervene. The insults flew. Caitlin accused me of treating them as spreadsheet entries, holding money over their heads like a martyr to compensate for being single. Bradley chimed in about manipulation and control. I defended myself. I'd funded the house, cars, her education without ever demanding gratitude. Just fairness. The pressure mounted. Carl retrieved the papers again, demanding signatures. Refusal led to escalation. He stood, advancing on me, bourbon on his breath. "You've held this family hostage with your money. We're done being grateful." His words cut deep, revealing years of underlying contempt. I shot back about him living off my earnings. That's when it happened, the open-handed slap across my face in front of witnesses. My head whipping sideways, cheek blazing. The room froze. Mom gasped but stayed silent. Caitlin and others looked away or shifted uncomfortably. Carl blustered about me deserving it for disrespecting him in his house. But I straightened, touching the mark. Voice quiet yet steel-edged. "You hit me." Fear flickered in his eyes as realization hit. This wasn't private anymore. I gathered my things. Family doesn't hit. Doesn't conspire to steal. I'm done being your hating. Carl demanded I stay. I promised consequences instead. Driving away, the physical sting faded against hotter determination. They wanted greedy? They hadn't seen my accounting skills weaponized yet. Back in my apartment, ice pack on my cheek. I logged into shared accounts I'd maintained for convenience. Patterns emerged immediately. Regular cash withdrawals just under reporting thresholds. Timestamp during casino hours at WinStar or Choctaw. Locations matched perfectly. More damning, identical amounts deposited into Caitlin's college fund days later. Carl wasn't merely gambling my money. He was laundering winnings through educational accounts. Deeper dive revealed credit card charges for casino hotels with double occupancy on Mom's workdays. She was clocked in at the library. Mortgage files showed a second $150,000 loan 3 years ago with a forged signature. My travel records placed me at a Phoenix conference that day. The R in Rachel and M in Morgan didn't match my usual. Proceeds traced to CJ Enterprises LLC. Carl's business, registered as gambling consulting. State records confirmed it. Insurance policies I controlled, as primary holder, uncovered a $500,000 life policy on me. Beneficiary Carl, then Mom. Caitlin's social media contradicted her struggling student image, Vegas trips, designer hauls, captions joking about family paying. One photo from last month captioned, "What happens in Vegas gets paid for by family," with comments exposing monthly allowances from generous stepdad. By 3 a.m., evidence compiled. Bank fraud, wire fraud, forgery, likely tax evasion on unreported winnings, potential elder manipulation. I video called my attorney Mark. "This is federal level," he said.
Stunned.
I didn't want prison necessarily. I wanted exposure. Humiliation. Financial ruin mirroring what they'd inflicted. Mark connected a forensic expert. Phone buzzed relentlessly. "Moms, please." Carl's aggressive voicemail threatening this wasn't over. I saved it all. The bruise yellowed over 2 weeks as I prepared quietly, tiny legal cameras and recorders installed in the house, permitted as part owner. Legal motions froze the fraudulent mortgage and investigated forgery. The second confrontation was staged as forgiveness.
Carl.
Caitlin, Bradley, and Diane assembled. Carl offered forgiveness if I signed and restored access. Threats escalated. Physical harm via friends, career sabotage, tax audits, credit destruction, forcing house sale. He grabbed my wrist bruisingly. "You're an A. ATMs don't have opinions. We take what we need." Mom looked away again. I recorded every word via hidden devices, revealing discoveries, forgery details, casino laundering, life policy, silenced them temporarily. Carl snarled denials. I warned of mail from my lawyer, left with recordings capturing threats, including his "I'll kill you" outburst. Chaos erupted behind me as I exited. This evidence empowered swift legal action, cease and desist, asset freezes, restitution demands. Voicemails and texts flooded in, Mom's tearful misunderstandings, Caitlin's vicious insults about ruining her life and wedding, forwarded to counsel as harassment proof. Even workplace sabotage attempts, Caitlin storming my building accusing embezzlement. Anonymous HR tips from Carl about instability. The machinery ground forward. Forensic team uncovered offshore hints drawing IRS interest. Settlement loomed. Full house transfer to me. Repayment of all stolen funds, $360,000 plus. Restraining orders. Signed confession. They stalled initially. Hiring week, counsel claiming duress on recordings. Pressure built as the engagement party invitation arrived via colleague Lisa, addressed mockingly to the bitter spinster, with Caitlin's handwritten note, hoping I'd enjoy dying alone. More evidence. Carl's team pushed for an in-person meeting Saturday evening, coinciding with the party, desperate to negotiate privately. My attorney Samantha Chun, a financial crimes specialist, saw opportunity. We attended the attorney's office, but I detoured first to the Crescent Club party venue. Dressed sharply, I entered the opulent ballroom where Dallas elite mingled. Caitlin spotted me. glass shattering in shock. Jim Garrett, the original attorney, approached confused about the supposed meeting. I connected my phone to the AV system. Screens lighting up with a damning recording, Carl's voice booming. "You're nothing but an ATM to this family. ATMs don't get opinions. I'll kill you." Gasps rippled. Threats of accidents. Tax ruin. Credit sabotage played clearly, followed by forgery admissions. Second mortgage details. Life insurance fraud. The room hushed except for Jazz cutting off abruptly. Caitlin lunged, restrained by Bradley, whose face paled. His parents demanded answers. I addressed the crowd. This explained Carl and Mom's absence. They faced federal charges for fraud. Extortion. The man meant to walk Caitlin down the aisle was a thief who'd slapped me. Forged documents. Threatened murder when I protected my asset. Caitlin's venom. Mom's complicity watching the slap. All exposed. Security approached, but I exited gracefully, calling back about returning her $8,000 dress for lawyer fees. Chaos ensued, shouts. Breaking glass. Society whispers. Samantha texted. Carl agreed to all terms. Full confession. Restitution. Too late to contain. The public humiliation spread. Moving trucks arrived under supervision. Carl avoided showing. Mike muttered but complied. Mom appeared once, aged and pleading, but I refused talk. She'd chosen sides the night of the slap. House transferred solely to me. Restitution. $5,000 monthly for 6 years.
Carl sold assets.
Took warehouse night shifts. Mom relocated to Aunt Diane's in Houston. Working retail. Restraining orders barred contact within 500 feet. Caitlin's wedding collapsed. Bradley's family withdrew, citing values clash. Her lavish social media went silent as she took a receptionist job sharing roommates. Carl's public confession became searchable record. Fraud. Forgery. Extortion. Ruining prospects. 3 months later, Bradley's mother called thanking me for averting disaster. Caitlin had hidden debts. She affirmed my strength wasn't a flaw. In my now quiet kitchen, wine in hand, house truly mine, savings recovering, career unburdened, I reflected. Was protecting my earnings greedy? Standing against abuse? If so, I embraced it proudly. They'd reduced me to a machine dispensing cash, without question. That slap and words freed me to reprogram, close the account permanently. The custom nameplate from colleagues, Rachel Morgan CPA. Account status closed for maintenance, hung prominently. Laughter came genuinely for the first time in months. I'd bought freedom with every penny they lost, priceless.